Well, hello, everyone.
Greetings and salutations.
All right, another question in in the hotel chats, as it were. Here we go. I've been shooting doubles a lot here recently, and I don't think I've asked this before. Should I be trying to influence the gun as much as I can during my doubles training? Like starting the string of doubles for a predictive pair with my finger touching the front of the trigger guard, or should I have it prepped to the wall to reduce that input to just see what my grip is doing? So what I think he's asking basically is, does it matter where my finger starts on the trigger when I do doubles, and what is it I'm actually trying to accomplish? What am I actually trying to pay attention to?
Oh, baby.
So I figured you could just knock this one out while I don't know, go get a soda or something.
Perfect. Well, I don't know. I'm not that smart. You'll have to fill in the... Oh, you're not joking. All right, I'll see you later. Bye. So here's the point. The rapid fire, the doubles, in my opinion, is trying to perfect your grip. So to have, when you shoot, not have your hands slip or slide or move around. Now, I could change the conditions to make that way easier or way more difficult, or end up with some other like autism stuff. But instead, what's really happening is just that. Rapid fire, paying attention to my grip. Do my hands slip or slide as it do something I don't want it to do? So, like if I'm gonna press to the wall and then like prep up and then do a fast pair, I don't know. I don't really like the idea. I don't think that's that helpful. So I'd probably just, the method I like is you could have your finger either lightly contacting the trigger or just out of contact. I let the sights float on the target where I want bullets to go. And then when I press the trigger, it's twice immediately, firing 2 shots, and I'm just trying to honestly let the gun do its thing while just connecting or holding it enough that it doesn't slip or slide. And I'm trying to figure out, do I need to do any input at all, or what has to happen to make the shot stack?
Yeah.
Is that a fair outline to like get us started?
Absolutely. So yeah, so for doubles, the whole goal is to simply connect to the gun, look to a spot, pull the trigger, and do as little else as possible other than have the gun return exactly to 0. Because if you're doing that and you just look to the spot, pull the trigger, and just let the gun return to 0 as you're pulling the trigger, essentially you'll stack bullets on top of each other about as fast as you can pull the trigger, which is kind of a cool thing to do, but it's also, it's a very, very difficult grip and vision test. So having said all that, I don't think I've ever actually thought about what my trigger finger is doing when I start doubles. To be honest, it's wherever it is. So for instance, like a lot of times I'll be working from the draw. So as as the gun comes up and I connect and I see, you're a child.
I know.
As the
got a flashlight on it.
It does have a flashlight on it. Don't touch my buttons.
All right, then.
So as the gun comes up and I'm like looking to the spot, I'm waiting for the dot to get there. Like my finger just does whatever it does. Maybe it contacts the front of the trigger. I don't know. Maybe it's hovering just a little bit off of the face of the trigger. If the idea is that we're training to pull the trigger in a way that we would while shooting aggressively, I think it's a good idea to be training with your finger off the trigger. Not that that's where you would start your trigger pulls from, but if we're being honest, like after we pull the trigger once, like let's say you're going to do a rapid fire string of like 6 rounds in a row. Every time you pull the trigger after that, your finger is going to be coming out of contact with the trigger. So the next 5 trigger pulls are coming from off the trigger anyway. So like that's a good place to train doubles from. And then from there, my whole goal is I'm looking to the spot and I'm trying honestly to stay out of my own way. Because the mistakes most people make is the gun goes off, they see the dot lift, they want to shoot quickly. In order to do that, the brain tells them they need to push on the gun more than necessary in order to bring the dot back. And that's where we end up pushing rounds low because we're fighting that recoil. And so staying out of your own way of just like, hey, I'm just going to hold on to the gun with my hands, stay connected, but that is not the same thing. Staying connected to the gun is not the same thing as stopping the gun from recoiling. I think a lot of people conflate, hey, I have a good grip with the gun can't move. And so staying out of your own way as far as like how much input you push on the gun to bring it back, and then just pulling the trigger about as fast as I can and observing what happens. The idea being I'm not necessarily looking for a great outcome. Like, yeah, it's nice to stack them all up in a nice golf ball size hole at 7 yards, just ripping fast splits and like just have the group expand a little bit as you move back. That's nice, but in reality, it's not about the outcome. It's paying attention to the process of what's happening and associating what you see, feel, and experience to what you observe as far as like the rounds that don't go where you want.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
It does. I want to address the trigger part. Let's just spell this out a little bit. So if I want to do this rapid fire and I decide to press, I don't know, till here, and I want to go like fire, reset, and then pull it fast again, if you try to where you're just barely letting this thing reset and then pressing it fast, like you just try doing that like ultra fast. So like pin here, press, and then just like let it barely click and then go again. You're not going to get very fast splits. Mm-hmm. So just like the idea of that doesn't really work, because you'll end up having trigger freeze. So what that means is I'll press, I'll think I have a little bit released, and I'll pull it again like, oh no. So it's not enough then to reset the gun. So any kind of variation of like trying to shorten the pull or press up to the wall and then do the like pull and barely reset it, it's just not going to work out for you. So that's the other reason we like, you can either, in my opinion, have your finger just lightly touching the trigger but not really applying pressure, or finger like space between the face of the trigger and your finger.
Yeah. So then again, kind of divorcing yourself from shooting it for a good outcome, like the goal is a good outcome, versus, hey, I'm just going to try to do all of the things that should lead to a good outcome. Like, hey, I want to stay connected to the gun. I want to make sure I stay target focused. I'm not letting my vision get pulled onto the dot. I don't want to push on the gun any extra. I'm just letting my eyes be the guide to bring the gun back, and then I'm kind of ripping on the trigger about as fast as I can without trying to make any additional grip changes. If I do all those things, I should get a pretty good outcome, but really what I'm trying to do is observe when that doesn't happen and why, and then make the changes, be able to make the adjustments kind of at speed without having to slow down.
Yes.
So hopefully somewhere in all of that, it kind of gives the guy that asked the question a bit of a guideline. Like, if you're assessing where to start your finger on the trigger, I think you're kind of missing the whole boat of the drill, which is okay, right? You don't know what you don't know till you ask. So no shade, but kind of zoom out a little bit, see a few more trees. Let's look at the forest instead of the bark. And I think you'll probably end up getting more out of the drill that way.
Maybe the bark is worse than the bite. All right, so I'm supposed to I just said the most random thing I could think of just to see how you'd react.
I don't like any of that. Unsubscribe.
Perfect. So yeah, unsubscribe from Kyle's channel now. No, I'm just joking. Like, share, subscribe, all that garbage. If you have questions, drop it down below in the comments. Kyle's being very diligent about reading through your comments, so it's an easy one to respond to. He'll just do that down below. Yeah. And if it's something like this that, well, no reason to be a keyboard commando and try to type all this stuff out. Instead, the easiest way to reply is just, hey, great question, I'll make a video.
Absolutely.
Which is what you see here.
Yep. So anyway, appreciate your time, guys. Take care. Hope this helps.
Bingo.